All right. All right, so welcome everyone to the Smart Dialogue series. Today is our final session for the fall 2023 semester. So as you know, the vision for the Dialogue series is to provide a platform where voices from diverse disciplines, backgrounds, and perspectives converge. Today's session, much like the ones before, is rooted in the spirit of collaborative learning. And as you know, today's speaker who we have here is Ratna Arianti. Ratna is a doctoral research student and her work centers on collaborative journalism, exploring the factors influencing success and failures in newsrooms in Indonesia. She has published works with the AGI and IFJ on topics ranging from the path of female journalists to safety protocols during the COVID-19 pandemic, and reports on journalist safety and working conditions. A little bit more about Ratna that I'm reading here from is that her master's thesis completed at the University of Leeds in 2016 delved in the use of Twitter as a news source in the coverage of the recent crisis events in Indonesian online media. Overall, Ratna Arianti is a dedicated journalist, academic, and advocate for press freedom and safety, and she's also a wonderful member of the Team SMART. So over to you, Ratna. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you others who are joining us. Over to you. You're welcome to share your screen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope everyone in the US has a good break during the Thanksgiving. So thank you, Dr. Khan, and also Raymond for organizing this dialogue series. My topic for today is Indonesia's war on mis and disinformation. How do we understand the role of content creators in spreading unverified information? So we will discuss the study and then the actors in disinformation ecosystem in Indonesia, and then the conclusion, and it will be ended by the Q&A. So the study, I did the study and will follow up the study with Dr. Ika Karina Idris. She is a good friend of mine. We know each other even before we enter academia. So we both were working as a journalist in Indonesia. And Dr. Ika also Ohio University alumni. She got her PhD in Media Art and Studies. So currently, the study is in the process of editing for book chapter. Hopefully, it will be published soon. And then the aim is, one of the goals for having this study is to enhance the discussion of mis and disinformation in Indonesia. And for the practical reason, we also hope that it can offer insight for journalists and also newsrooms, as well as the policymakers in the country. So in understanding the spread of misinformation and disinformation, we need to look at how all the actors, the information and communication technology and the messages they produce interact as one system or media ecosystem. The study on the media ecosystem has been around, and the framework was used to investigate how information propagation plays in the current digital ecosystem. In studying the spread of digital propaganda and disinformation, we need to look at the complex interaction between the actors involved, their interests, and their function within the ecosystem. So as you see in the slide, there are four. Basically, there are also several actors like partisan media, for instance, but I will focus on three main actors, and then the new one that I would like to explore in the study. So the individual, we know the ease of the internet has created non-professional individuals, non-journalists who produce and publish news in digital media without verification. So they publish the information, and then unverified information has been spreaded. And another level on the individual is our family member, for instance, my parent, when my mother, for instance, when she got message from the WhatsApp group, she assumed that the information that she received was the correct one. She didn't have any skills to low digital literacy, and probably like one of our friends in our networks. And the second one is false news website. One of the example that I can give was during the election in the United States. So the day after the elections, for instance, the most popular Google search result was about the news coming from 70news.wordpress.com. For person who has high digital literacy, they can notice that WordPress is not really being used by a high quality of journalism and mainstream media. But many internet users believe information coming from that false news website was the correct one. One of the things that this false news website use as a strategy is to use the logo, which is similar to mainstream media. They publish story with the false headline. So it seems like it's very to grab the attentions of internet users in general. And the next one is the government. One of the closest example from Indonesia in Southeast Asia is from the Philippines. In the last election, Marcos Jr., the current president of the Philippines, has used social media to rewrite the history, downplaying authoritarian regime from his father era, Ferdinand Marcos, as a golden age. One of the study conducted by Rappler, the largest independent outlet media in the Philippines, found that Marcos used social media to rehabilitate their images more than 3 decades after his father was removed from the power. Besides Philippines, we're also familiar about Russian government strategies to spread disinformation, like this troll and disinformation factory spreading the propaganda about Russia, including what currently happened in the Ukraine. The interesting part is we talk a lot about partisan media, mainstream media, which is not following the code of ethics. But our study also found another one, which is content creators. When I started my career as a journalist in Indonesia many years ago, or century ago, this type of content creator didn't even exist. We did have similar journalism practices, like you did a meeting, editorial meeting, and you decided, and you went to the field talking to the sources. You write the stories, the editor typed the story, and the editor double check the stories, verified the information, and then on the last phase was publishing. But interesting enough, we found one of the things which also playing a significant role in spreading of disinformation. So our study began with one issue, Pancasila. So the discussion about Pancasila, this is the philosophical principle of the country. We have 5 main pillars. So we try to analyze the social media conversation at the time in Facebook groups and pages about Pancasila. We gather around 57,000 posts from a month before Pancasila Day at the time. And why we choose this particular momentum was because there was a division between Islam and Pancasila supporters. So it's really interesting to see and how this division sharpened public demonstration, especially because at the time we did have controversial revision of the anti-corruption law in Indonesia. And then our president at the time chose Firly Bahuri, who was a former Indonesian police agency, to show like he represented Pancasila, but at the same time, Firly also a Muslim. So basically, we try to focus more on this conversation, social media conversation, and then we, as you see, we managed to find the crowd, and then one of the first actor that we identified was the partisan media. So the largest one was Sintesa News. Although the website claims to be an independent media that delivers stories and news, its posts contain disinformation materials that pro-government supporter used to attack Muslim preachers on social media. So two types of disinformation in Sintesa News were a fabrication and using undisclosed byline. So for instance, they published a story about a religious leader who stopped Muslim to sing our national anthem Indonesia Raya, which was not true at the time. And then after that, we try to analyze more on, like the notes that we found, and then we came to the second actor in Indonesia disinformation. So if you see Pikiran Rakyat, this is one of the mainstream media. So in the beginning, we thought, oh, probably it's only mainstream media doing less, less conscious about the ethical. So we try to dig more what actually, what kind of contents that they spread during that conversation. We didn't have any thought in the beginning. We didn't have any ideas that it will bring us to a new type of journalism practices in Indonesia. Although we understand this new type of journalism practices has been around. So after observing Pikiran Rakyat post, we found that the various issues that were mostly taken from politicians and social media influencer statements. So instead of going to the field, talking with the sources, they rely heavily on social media. Those statements include opinions, assumptions, speculations, hate speech, accusation related to Pancasila and Islam, and also other things like Palestine and the main issues about the anti-corruption law. Unfortunately, when we expect the verified information came from mainstream media, we didn't find 100% from all the posts that they published. Most of the statements in the news were not verified and solely heated the conversation about Islam and Pancasila. Then we try to dig more by asking for the content creators at the time. So what is actually this new type of journalism practices? So we cannot get the summary only by seeing these social networks. Then we try to approach several content creators. It was taking some efforts to be able to find them, but luckily so basically we tried to find from the document that we got from one of the sources about top 20 or top 30 content creators who got actually a lot of money every month. So apparently, if you can be listed in one of the top 30, you can get a huge income, not the salary, but income. So the incubator was established in December 2019. It came from Pikiran Rakyat, which is actually one of the prominent newspaper in West Java. So the content creator root from the network of hundreds of small websites that produce content without having to verify the information. So each website will get revenue sharing based on page views and income from Google AdSense. You don't really need to be a big news outlet to be able to join the partnership. You only need at least 3 people who also produce news and manage the website. Interesting part that we find, many of the journalists who are still working or work at the time with the mainstream media also has side income by doing this partnership with Pikiran Rakyat. The money from page views and Google AdSense will be shared between the PR Media Network, Pikiran Rakyat Media Network, and the website management. The profit sharing was 70% to 30%. So 70% goes to the media outlets and 30% for the PRMN. In order to be able to maintain your partnership, you need to publish at least 100 contents per day. Can you imagine? I mean, like when I work as a journalist, I mean, like at the maximum, probably I was only able to produce at least 3 or 4 like short story. If I needed to contribute for the headline, like 2 is the maximum because we needed to contact more than one source. But 100, how did you manage to publish 100 stories? So I contacted several of them, and then they don't have any bid. So assignments was really fluid. You can actually moving from writing about politics and then writing about religious content, and then in the afternoon you write something about music, for instance. So it's really understandable because the amount of the number of the stories that you need publish is really large, like 100. And then they also so quantity is actually the king. So they also allow the content creators to copy and paste from other networks. So basically, when I talk to several to one of the content creators, I asked, how did you get the ideas for publishing story? They said that, for instance, media outlet A publish something, and then they see from the media analytics that it can grab the attention of the readers. So after that, other media outlets joining the partnership, like under this media network, they can copy and paste, like by doing like several of like adjustment, but not that much, and then publish into their media outlet. And then the quantity is essential since it will be a basis for the media outlets to calculate the income of content creators. From all the respondents, no single outlets allocate specific salary for every month. That's also very interesting fact. I'm a union activist. I joined labor union back home. I mean, like it's totally out of my mind how a media outlet doesn't have a specific budget for the salary, because they rely heavily on the income from the Google page view, Google AdSense and the page view. They actually also create what they call the system is click per pay. So the amount of the money that you can gain by the end of the month basically rely from how many views that you get after you publish a story. Forget about the verified information. That's not even like, maybe, yeah, of course, you don't have time to verify the information. So apparently, for instance, if one content creator sees a Muslim cleric sharing his thought on the YouTube channel, for instance, and in the old era where journalism, like good quality of journalism, and of course, still current nowadays, many mainstream media still follow this step. You need to find the cleric and then ask like to verify the thing that you see on YouTube, like, was it necessarily coming from you? I mean, like, what your intention, and several other questions. You cannot just watch the video and create content from that, or produce only one side story. But apparently they don't have this kind of thought. Of course, this is actually a very concerning for me. I honestly, personally, I need to take a break after the interview, because I started to review my journey. I entered academia after 15 years in the industry, and then and still, I'm like a supporter of code of ethics of journalism. I still join one of the largest association of journalists in Indonesia, the Alliance of Independent Journalists, and I know how hard it is to follow the code of ethics. Like, considering all the challenge in journalism nowadays across the world, including in Indonesia, like, like when we talk about the speed and the quality of the information, for instance. But this study actually also, I was coming to like one particular moment where I was asking, like, why do I need to take my PhD in journalism? I mean, like, it doesn't. But after that, it was only several days, because after that, of course, these findings actually strengthen my energy to come back home and then contribute more on like finding and building and maintaining good journalism practices in the country. So unfortunately, quantity is the key, and it lead the network to propagate unverified information. The number of the respondents is still low, so in the future we expect to expand the number of the respondents by contacting other content creators in the network. It was quite challenging, because I believe majority of them noticed that this is not actually what they want to do. They know that this is not following the code of ethics, but the income, the profit sharing that the network offer is quite huge. So they believe that this is also an option to make a living. So in the conclusion, news organization spread unverified information from social media conversation. And so I believe, like, the name of Pikanet, which used to be a prominent media, credible news organization, which is having a crucial role, actually now also taking part in spreading this information. With its new content incubator, separately managed by the news outlet, news organization turns into poor quality journalism practices by propagating unverified information from social media conversation. And then we also bring the discussion into a classic one, where like web analytics and advertising is actually intertwined. They what the like the more page views, meaning the more money that the news organization can achieve. And I think, like, the ideas of having an incentive based on clicks will only nurturing the behavior of the content creators to produce junk information, forget the basic rule of journalism, which is publishing only and only the facts. So I think this is one of the start for us to see. I understand that the welfare for journalists is also a big part, but I I believe, and I'm a stronger believer that we can actually finding a money not from doing this kind of journalism practices. Where does the money come? Where does the money come from? Probably that can be another study for different research. So I would like to end my slides. Thank you so much again, and hopefully it will at least bring you the ideas. I believe like this similar trend is also happening in other countries. So thank you, Dr. Khan.
Thank you very much, Ratna. That was a very interesting and eye-opening presentation and research about what is happening in the disinformation, misinformation ecosystem in that part of the world. So many interesting questions are arising, and I'm excited. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you the question first, and then let anybody else ask the questions. We have plenty of time. So first of all, I'll start with the, you started off with the Indonesia's Pancasila. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Pancasila.
Pancasila. All right. So I was a little bit unclear. So according to the Pancasila, I was not aware of this and I looked it up. This is foundational principles that are followed by that country. And those foundational principles are very simple and quite universal. Belief in one and only God, a just and civilized humanity, unity of Indonesia, democracy led by wisdom. So how did the controversy, if you can provide some more insight, what was it that was controversial here?
So at that time, the Anti-Corruption Commission, there were rumors spreading around between, like the Pancasila, which is national group, and Islamist group within the KPK. And also like outside the KPK in general, people believe like, if you need to be like nationalist. But I believe at the same time, I'm Muslim myself, but I can be nationalist and Islamist at the same time. But at the time, the division is very strong. So if you are not in one part, if you are not in one part, you are in another part. And especially in the KPK, the anti-corruption. So what the rise of, practicing Islam by attending the Quran teaching, for instance, or other things, they get a label as, oh, you are not nationalist enough. So it was very concerning at the time because religious issue is always something that can being burned for having a negative sentiment, and then towards Muslim, also because I believe you don't really need to be like in like a clear distinction. You can be both. By choosing one of the head of the national police, for instance, but president tried to calm down the controversy. There are actually several layers on that as well. I don't know whether you are familiar with Ahok, our Jakarta governors. So that was also one of the things that creating, where the religious has been used as a tool to spread disinformation and creating the polarization between citizens in the country. So we chose that Pancasila discussion because we found that there were so many false information being spreading around. Like one of the things that I gave the example, for instance, if you are Muslim, then you cannot be a nationalist. So there were several videos showing religious leader asking students not to respect